I don't have an issue, personal issue with Mr. Runcie, but what I do believe in is accountability. I believe that everyone in every position, even myself, as an elected official, my job, I will not only be Mr. Runcie's boss, because that's what the board is. We are his boss. And so I want to make sure that everyone is understands exactly if Mr. Runcie is doing something that is or not for looking out for the safety or the well-being of this district, or not moving us forward. My job as a board member is to hold him accountable. And that's how we need to be. The board members, our job is to not only go to our parishioners, the district that we represent, and in this seat, District 9 represents the entire county. I will not just represent the Dillard area. And the reason I use that because I graduate from Dillard and I work at Dillard.
Y'all have some serious alumni. Y'all just Dillard everywhere. You know, you just, yes. It's like, that's a serious tribe right there.
But I will not just represent the 33311 or District 5. Mm-hmm. I will represent the entire county. And so whatever we have to do to put people in place to hold them accountable, that's what my job is. That's what I'm there for. And I'm there to fight for not only the staff, the teachers, but every employee and our students across this district, and the community, the stakeholders, the parents.
All right. So what is it what do you think you would bring to the board, right? I mean, there's people there, there's folks running, you know, some people call the board a diverse board. I might have a different opinion about that, but I don't think my opinion matters in this case. What is it that you think you would bring to the board, and why do you think you would be a better addition to the Broward County School Board?
Well, first of all, I'm homegrown. I've worked in this district. I'm the only candidate in this race with frontline experience. I worked in several capacities within this district. I started out in food services. I know what it is to work alongside those that have been in food services. My family, of course, I started out in food services because of my family, my dad, my entire family. We own a restaurant here in Broward County, Spoon's Grill. Okay. And so I started out there. I know what it means to be a campus monitor, security, making sure that our students, making sure that the staff are kept safe. And now, most importantly, the job that I hold now is a brace advisor. Every high school has one brace advisor, and our job is to prepare every student for college. And so that's what I've been doing for the past 11 years. I can bring those things to the board. I'll bring those things to the board. And that's why I believe that I'm the right or the best candidate to ensure that we're able to move this board forward in transparency, effective communication, and that every school is treated equally across the board.
Okay, we're gonna get back on that, but I'm gonna talk about another, because this is the 2020 has just been a year of, like, I don't know, boy, it's like a year of reckoning or something like that, right? So another one of the things that's happening in 2020 is, like, the Black Lives Matter movement has really just exploded, right? And part of that was because the incident with George Floyd, we're all familiar with it. Police officer put his knee on his neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, and we saw him lose his life, just on video like this, right? And that just kind of, people just exploded. I think the combination of them being locked in their house for like 8 weeks, kind of, they were already on like some or something. So now, but it also made companies become more aware of, like, what happens to people of color, because I don't think we would have ever seen a video like that of a white person being treated that way by a police officer under any circumstances, right? So they started to understand some of the rage, to the point where some companies even gave people Juneteenth off, right? Like, half of them didn't even know what Juneteenth was, right? But I had friends who was like, yo, it's a paid holiday at my job today, right? So we had some of that happening. And then we also have this discussion discussion about like whether or not we're gonna incorporate. They say Black history into the school, but I think if you teach American history, there's no way in the world you can ignore the contributions of people of color into American history. So, and I believe they're going to have to deal with this, right? Is there going to have to be some adjustment in the curriculum and where, in the way people are being taught in school, because people are worried about implicit bias. Like all of us have these white friends that's calling us, like, well, what can I do? Like that type of thing. So some of that's going to have to happen, sooner, right? Like, as these kids growing up, because we don't need another generation of people who are 40 years old or 50 years old and don't understand
and don't know,
the consequences of race. So what would you do as a board member to try to equalize, or bring in more well-rounded American history, and even if you just got to go straight Black history, to teach it, what would you do and how would you do that?
That's my answer right there. Bringing in across the district, every school having in place, added it on to the curriculum, Black history, not just one school hearing about it or knowing about it, but every school will have, I believe, should have that entwined into their history classes. So definitely adding Black history onto the curriculum is something that I believe that will be effective to help every child understand every culture, not just one culture, but every culture in this district.
Right, particularly since this is a very multicultural district too. There's a big Caribbean population. We have, my parents are Haitian. I was born in the Bahamas. I consider myself Haitian too. So, but Haitians, I have friends that are Jamaican from all over the place. So it is a big melting pot, and all of those cultures need to be recognized. Even the Hispanic community too, because people think, I grew up in Miami, so everyone think all Spanish people are Cuban, and that's not the case, right? You have like a whole myriad of different types of people that speak the Spanish language. So yes, we definitely need to diversify the way we're being taught in school, and that's something to think about. All right, so the other thing I hear about is this program called a Promise Program. What is it that you know about it, and how do you feel about it?
Well, what I know about the Promise Program is that it is a program that helps our students once they, of course, get an infraction or they have issues going on. They're sent, of course, after it builds up. They're sent to this program that entail is to help them to get back on track. To help them focus more. They'll have maybe a counseling session or a talk with the counselors, and then they'll be of course moved back into the population of their actual school, and so that's what the program is built to do, or the desire of the program. You asked me, do I think?
So what do you know about it, and what do you think about it? Is it an effective program? Do you believe it needs to be continue in the school system? What are your thoughts on it? And is it helping?
It actually, after talking to a few students that I know of that have been to the program, it has helped. The only thing is that we can look at is, of course, we can tweak it. We can get those that are stakeholders, those that have those students, maybe some students that have successfully went through the program, get them to come back, and of course those stakeholders, and even the board members and our superintendent, get them on board so that we can see exactly how this program can continue to be effective throughout the district. So do I believe it's a good thing? Yes. Has it helped? Yes. Can we make some adjustments? And we can make those adjustments by coming together and bringing those stakeholders to the table so that we can make changes if need be.
Okay. All right. So I heard about the program. I heard that most of the children of students that are in that program are students of color. Do you believe that's representative of the students that are getting in trouble in the Broward County school system?
No, not at all. Not at
Why
all.
do you think that's happening?
Because matter of fact, I
I don't
believe
mean
that
to put
that's
you on the
happening.
spot. I just need to know. I just got questions, and I think people got questions.
No, it's basically because sometimes we get singled out,
Mm-hmm.
and that has to do with um, you know I don't want to go there, but the racism, and sometimes when I was growing up in the school system, when I was a student, I believe that I was singled out basically because of my hyperactive behavior. And so just because I'm hyper does not mean that that I have all of these issues that's going on.
Right.
That just means that I need to be sat down and cultivated. If we stop looking at every child as the same, every
Right.
black child, even if it's a white child, if we stop looking at every student, Hispanic, if we stop looking at them as if you're the same as every other child, then of course things will be a whole lot better. So we cannot put different every child in the same category. And
Right.
that's the problem, because we're categorizing kids and we're putting them in in this category, and things are not changing because we're putting them in the same category.
Right. And I hear what you're saying, but my experience is like a little bit different, right? One of the problems that I have is that especially with some of the teachers, is that I notice that they really just teach to the middle, right? And then they want students to behave a certain way. If you just, like you said, just a little hyper, because I have a daughter that's in the ESC program, right? And so I have her in a cluster, so they expect certain behaviors from her, but she was like mainstreamed in the beginning, and it just was like, they were like, well, she won't sit still. I'm like, well, she's on the autism spectrum. What you mean she ain't gonna sit still? That can't be one of your expectations from this particular child, for her to sit still. That's just not gonna happen, right? Mm-hmm. So one of the things I think is problematic is the fact that they teach to the middle. So if you have a student in a class that may be extremely smart, wants to move ahead, they're not gonna accommodate that. If you have a child that's like just a little slower, just need a little bit of help, they're not gonna accommodate that. They're like, you better catch up, or that's it. And if you're too fast and you're bored in the classroom, and sometimes some students misbehave because they're bored in the classroom, and then now all of a sudden, instead of them recognizing that it's just that you're bored in the classroom because you're ahead of the assignment, they make you a behavioral problem, right? You become a behavioral problem.
I'm glad you said that, because we should, as the sixth largest school district in the nation, we should be able to accommodate all of our students, no matter where they are. When I get on the board, I want to make sure that that we're able to meet every child where they are, no matter their race, no matter male, female. I want to make sure that we're able to meet every child exactly where they are. And we need to be able to do that as it relates to even mental health. We need to be able to, I've sat down, I've talked to a few people that are ESC specialists. Actually, my sister, she works for the district. She is a ESP, and she deals with our students that are in that clustered, in that clustered sector. And so I've talked to a few others. We need to be able to meet these kids. They're getting the funding,
right,
for the kids, and I'm not just saying our Black schools, but I'm talking about every school. This has a lot to do with transparency. This has a lot to do with every school being treated equally. If we're gonna, whatever school you're at, you need to be able to have the same thing across the board, equally.
Yes, I definitely agree. And and I was talking to someone who works in the school system, and they were saying, no, teachers should be able to teach students on all different levels and that. And I was like, but do you think that's actually happening in the classroom? Like, what they should be able to do, and what they should do, I don't know if it's matching up to what they're actually doing. And she's like, well, a long time ago in the schoolhouses, they would have a teacher would teach K through 12 in one classroom. They would have students in all different levels in one classroom, and everybody will get educated. I was like, well, I don't know why these teachers nowadays can't do that, but they literally can't teach a group of fourth graders that are on different levels. And I shouldn't say they can't, because I don't want to go bashing teachers, but my experience has been that, I mean, because I remember my son, he was, and they kind of broke his spirit a little bit, right? Because he was in a class and he was doing an assignment and he understood it and he was ready to go on to the next chapter. And they're like, no, you can't do that. And you need to stop bothering me because we're on 4.5. You can't go on 4.7. And I'm just like, wait, like that's kind of not okay, right? So, of course I had to go talk to somebody about that. Even if that's how you felt, you need to find a nicer way to say this to a child. You can't just be talking to him sideways and kind of breaking his spirit. And I mean, and these are the kind of things that's happening. So what can we do, or what would you recommend as a board member to put teachers in a position where they can teach students in one classroom that are on different levels?
More training, continuing. What we need to do is we need to, like I said, of course, implemented training to our teachers to make sure that they can. The desire is that I think someone said no child left behind. If that's really our desire of no child left behind, and we're making sure that we're effective and that every school is effective, we need to have training in place, and we need to make sure that we're holding those people that are being trained accountable.
Okay, I'm gonna ask a different question. And since you work in the schools, you may have some knowledge. Do you think is the training not available, or is it available and the teachers don't want to take advantage of it? Because I was told, so when they go, when this, I mean, I'm dealing with words on the streets, and I talk to people so y'all can tell me what's really happening, so I don't have to deal with rumors, right? So one of the things was that, Canvas had been implemented like 5 years ago, right? And there'd always been training for it, but it was optional, right? And some of the teachers opted not to do it. Then all of a sudden, March comes, and now they got to use Canvas, and they're struggling, and and all of this type of thing. So, do you think the school district have the training that teachers need so they can teach students on different levels, and the teachers aren't utilizing it, or is it just not available and the teachers want it, but it's not there for them to access?
If I can answer this question like that without getting in trouble, or without,
I don't want you to get in trouble now, don't. If you don't know,
because Ms. Sandra, I believe that there are some things in place. I believe that every teacher should have the training to be successful in their element. So with some things, it's in place, and I believe that every teacher should have that so that they can continue to be successful
in the classroom. All right.
In the classroom, yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So thank you for that. So school safety. I mean, we might not be in no building, so this might not be an issue come the fall, but school safety is a big thing. And I know some people that's running. I don't know some people, but I at least know a person that's running, and their thing is about school safety, because we had a tragedy that happened in 2018, and we understand that, and they had it, and apparently there was some breakdown in whatever the procedures were that were in place at the school to maybe avoid something like this from happening. So school safety. So had we not, if we weren't dealing with COVID, what's your position on the Broward County's preparedness to keep students safe in the classroom, so we don't have a repeat of what happened in 2018?
Well, they have started to do some great changes, making some great changes to the schools. I can see that by me working at the school where I'm at now. Of course, Dillard is a huge campus, and so looking at the safety measures that they have put in place, or that they're doing, or was doing immediately after the issues that happened in Parkland, I believe that they're making strides to make sure that the faculty and the students and every personnel is kept safe. Are there some other things that we can continue to do? More training for our security. Put them in more, because I did security. I know what it is to make sure that the campus is safe. And so we want to make sure that security personnel, that they're trained effectively so that they can make great decisions based on something that is happening on the campus. or even while, while it is going on. So definitely they are making some great adjustments.
Made a great job with the safety. Yes, because that is definitely a concern that we have. But someone also said, and this is one of the things that we need to work on. Part of what might have helped was if they had more mental health counselor or mental health professionals in the schools. Is that something that you would push for as a board member?
Most definitely. Most definitely. I would definitely push for that. Yes.
Yes, because yes, I think that student had been exhibiting some issues, far before this whole thing happened, and that might have been something that would have definitely made a difference. So, if there were two things that you could change on the board, what would they be?
Change on the board?
Yeah, if this is two things that about the board that you could change. If either something they're not doing well, or that they should add. If there's some changes that you could make to the board, what would they be? Or maybe there aren't any, but if there are,
it's a part of my platform as well. Those things, and of course, accountability, making sure that we're holding those that are in place accountable, and of course, effective communication and transparency. Those are musts. You can't do anything else without communicating and being transparent. So those are two things that I would definitely look at.
Okay. And the other thing, so we touched upon this a little bit earlier, right? I also heard that there was a school that had mold in it, right? How is it that you can have a school with mold in it, and then you can have another school where everybody have computers in the same school district? How does that happen? And what would you do to make sure those type of inequities don't continue to occur in the school district?
That's an issue. That would be an issue. Actually, it would be a direct issue for me.
Because you represent all 31 cities.
Because you represent, because I'll be representing the entire, but not even just representing the entire dish. All of them on the board. It should be an issue for everybody. not just a particular area. Because if we say that our top priority is the students and the safety, then if we're not, I don't care what school, my job as a brace advisor extends to not just Dillard High School. When other students call me from no matter what school, from Stoneman Douglas, I've had students call me Northeast, I've had students call me Ely, I've had students, Bort Anderson. Those students have called me from other schools. If an issue comes up such as that, I'm not just looking at my area, my school. Hey, we need to fix this now. If we love the people, if we're for the people like we are supposed to be, why can't we make sure that every child and student and every child and employee is safe? That's not a healthy environment.
Right. And that's why they talk about safety and security. That's not safe either to have students.
That's not a healthy.
I was just like, they had mold, and this was an issue, and this wasn't resolved, day one, that actually took time to get resolved. So that's one of the things, right? So, I think all the schools should be funded almost the same way. I'm not sure because I don't deal with the budgets or anything like that, but I was just like, that's incredible that can happen, and, some schools have too much and then another school has mold. There's one thing to have an old book. Mold is a whole nother, you really just sound like you don't care, right? So, hopefully, we'll have someone on the board that'll get there and make sure we don't have these types of problems anymore. So again, another thing that tends to come up as an issue is this school choice, right? But school choice is school choice, but people really are mad about the charter schools. And I think they say they get too much money or something like that. What do you know about charter schools, and how do you feel about charter schools being able to use public school money to, I guess, operate? I think that's how they get funded.
I'm not. I'm not savvy on that particular issue, but it is something that I can look into, and so I believe I don't want to say that, people have the right,
No, and I'm not talking, because I have a son at a charter school. So I have
you
a son in
know,
a charter school and a daughter in a public school, because for him, that was the best thing. So I'm not
and
saying either way. I know people got to do what they need to do, but I just want to know what was your
you
position.
you have to make the best decision for your family as a parent, and as a parent as well, because you're your family. So you have to make the best decision that's going to be for your household.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So the other thing is, like, they believe that y'all can control how much money teachers can make and if they need salaries. So the board is responsible for making sure that teachers get paid, and they want y'all to help them get more money. What can you do about teachers' pay, and what would you do as a board members about teachers' pay?
I would definitely, that would be something that I would definitely fight for. That would be a part of any voting, if it was if it was to be called for a vote. I would definitely fight for it, because I believe that our teachers deserve more than a 2.5% raise every year. I believe that our ESPs deserve more than a 2% raise. Our bus drivers, our attendants, our cafeteria workers, all of those, I believe that every one of them deserve more than the percentage that they've been getting over the past few years. So definitely, that's something that I would fight for, and I believe that it can be, that would help them to
Oh, and
be
I
even.
didn't ask you this question. Sorry, I didn't ask you this question in the beginning. What is the role of the board, right? We usually start off with that. Like, what is it what is the role of the board, and what do you understand your role will be as a board member?
My role as the board or a board member is to work for the community, to go to the community as it relates to transparency and as it relates to communication, because my job would be to go to those that are stakeholders to figure out what their needs are. Once I get their needs, bring them back to my colleagues, and we sit down and we have a conversation about those issues that are plaguing our community. And then we can make an informative or an effective decision that can best suit the entire district. So that's our role, that's our job as board members.
Okay. And so my understanding was that you were running for a different board seat, and then you decided to switch to the at-large seat. Can you explain why you made that decision to, was it like group 5 that you were originally going to run in? So you were going to run in group 5, and then you switched to group 9. Can you explain why you did that?
Yes, well, definitely. That was my area. Actually, I do live, of course, you have to live in the area. I do live in this area, but I changed because I believe that I can be more effective in a county-wide seat instead of just holding me to a particular 5 cities. And so my wife and I, we got together, we prayed about it first. And I believe, and that's the reason why I changed, because I just believe that I can be more effective across the county than just a few cities.
Okay, so tell me, why do you think you'd be more effective? Like, what is it that you can do or bring to the county that will make you more effective than to just represent the area that you live in?
Because you're not just touching 5 cities, but you're reaching beyond borders. You're reaching beyond lines, and you're affecting the entire county. You're affecting your change, or you're affecting change across the entire school district, and not just one particular area. Making sure that every school has the essentials to be successful across the board, not just one area, but across the board. Every school should be treated equally.
All right. So one of the things that I noticed, because again, remember I told you before that my parents are Haitian. And so when I had to deal with this adjustment with the going online. I know that there's some communities where, you know, there's a language barrier, and I've been to a couple of the public schools, and they don't have Creole speakers in some of the schools that service a huge a number of Creole speaking students and parents. So like if something happens, there's no one there to communicate to that parent what's going on. They're relying on this kid to translate to their mother or father what happened. What, if anything, can you do to fix that? What I see as a problem, and I don't know if you see it as a problem, that you have a population, a huge Creole speaking population in Broward County, and they're not, there's no person that speaks that language into a lot of the schools.
I believe, of course, we can add more personnel. That's something that we can do. We can add more personnel, especially those that are Creole speaking persons. Add more personnel to get them. Actually, we do have some personnel, but if we need to add more, I definitely believe we should add more because of the numbers and the population across the district.
Okay.
So
okay, and tell me, how is it that you would and would you do this? How would you find out what it is that each of the schools in that you're gonna serve need? Like, how would you know? You know, how would you find out like there's a school that has a mold problem, or some school that has a leak, or some school that need more Creole speaking staff? What is it that you would do, or what do you plan on doing to find out what it is that most of the schools mainly need in order for them to be most effective for the students that they want to serve?
What I've seen, and as being a person that works at a particular school, the board member, I believe, the job would be to go out into these schools, talk to those teachers, talk to those campus, those security personnel, talk, just casual conversation, and then bringing them to the table as well, so that we can see what those changes are made look like. Definitely having more communication, having more meetings, and bringing those stockholders, bringing them to the table, so that we can figure out what those changes need to be in those particular schools.
Okay, and ESC is one of the ones that are important to me. What is it that you think can be done to improve the ESC programs in the school? Because I think you said you have a sister that works in the ESC program,
my
right?
Sister,
yeah. So tell us what she want to. How can we make this a lot better for the ESC students?
Making sure that they know about those students that they're working with. I know, making sure that they are aware of the students that they're working with, and then making sure that they're trained properly with the students that they will be assisting or working with throughout that particular year. Mm-hmm. So definitely making sure that they're trained and they have what they need to be successful during that particular school year. Yes.
Okay, so one of the things that happened as a result of what happened in 2018 was that they decided to have like SROs in every school. Has that made a difference? And do you continue to support them having a school resource officer, a police officer on every campus?
I've seen, a few schools actually. You're talking about the guardian or the SRO?
No, the police officers. I think they have police officers on every at every school now, right? Do you think that was a good idea? Is it helping? Is it effective, or is it policing maybe some communities? What's your thoughts on that?
I can't say because I haven't, had a chance to talk to a lot of schools. But do I think that every school should have a resource officer? I believe that they should. Definitely. I think every school should have a resource officer there.
Okay. All right. So tell people how they can get in touch with you, how they can donate money, how they can volunteer and do all that stuff.
Yes. I'm definitely my website is Witherspoon in 2020 bcsb.com, and of course if you would like to donate to the campaign, we have our Cash App that's up, and we have PayPal. Also, it's you can once you go to the page, it will direct you. I think that, and we're still continuing to make some adjustments to the page so that we can continue to get that up and running. but definitely, if you would like to volunteer, you can go to our Facebook page and also to our Instagram page if you would like to volunteer or to make any donations to our page.
Well, you got to tell them the Cash App handle. It's like
Yes.
$ what? You know,
Hey,
they,
I'm sorry.
you know,
I'm so
you can't make it hard for them to give you money now. You know,
I'm
you
sorry,
gotta
Miss
tell them
Sandra.
what that Cash App is. It's like he
That,
wants our money and he wants us to work to give it to him. Come on, Jimmy.
okay.
You gotta tell them what it is.
Let me say this, Miss Sandra, before I give that Cash App. It would be an honor for you to send that cheese to the Witherspoon.
Hey, I ain't mad at you, right? I ain't mad at you. Hey, don't be too proud to beg, okay? I ain't mad at you.
Because it does take a lot to run a campaign, and so but my Cash App handle is $ 2020 Witherspoon,
Okay.
and so definitely $ 2020 Witherspoon. I am looking for your support and for your help.
Okay, then. All right. Thank you so much. Is anything else, you know, how you close it out? You know, they give you all that minute, 2 minute, 3 minute to make the closing statement. I'm going to let you make your closing statement because you should have the last word. And make sure you tell people when it is that they're supposed to vote for you.
Yes.
Okay?
Well, first of all, I want to thank Ms. Sandra, the president of this great organization. I want to thank you for allowing us this opportunity and this space to share with the voters, those that are stakeholders in this community. And of course, as you continue to bring forth to the community, definitely to be a beacon in this community. But again, the reason why I'm running for this seat, first of all, I am a product of Broward County. I am a part of this great school district. I've been so for the past 17 years. I believe that I'm the best candidate because I'm the only candidate with frontline experience. I'm the only candidate that has worked in multiple positions within this great district. I believe that we need to continue to bring accountability, transparency, and effective communication throughout this district. I believe that we should hold the safety and the health of all employees. And I believe that I will be the great candidate to not only fight for you, but to make sure that your needs are met. My name is Jimmy Witherspoon, and on August the 18th, 2020, vote for me.